Okay, I kind of left you in the last part, chapter 3, with kind of an overview of it, where I'm trying to put thoughts together on how things are going to fit, what I'm going to use, how things are going to work in conjunction with other things. So let me take off from there. I've got some progress in the interior this week, and so let me take off from there. This is that storyboard that I told you guys about in another video on this truck. What I've done is put those pieces of cardboard up there and just kind of make notes on things, write things down that are relevant to whatever I'm dealing with, whether it be fuel or body or whatever. One of the things that I noticed that I was going through with the interior is that I never made a space for the interior. And there's going to be extensive work done on the interior. So what I did was I had filmed this previous to me taking the seat out, and lo and behold, it wasn't there. The footage wasn't there. But anyways, here is the inside of the truck. What happened? The light went out? Yeah, battery died. Here's the interior of the truck. I am having issues getting this radio out, and let me stop you and take you over to the other side and show you. Okay, so here we are back again over the other side. The issue is, I don't know whether you're going to be able to see it or not, but right down there, there's a screw. Well, let me regress here and go back. The radio is mounted in there, and I can't get it out. So I crawled underneath the truck to see if they had screwed it in from the bottom, which would have been highly unlikely because you could have screwed through radio components, but I was correct in my first assumption. It's screwed down through from the top. Now, when I started messing with this after I took the seat out, I noticed that screw was loose, and it's spring-loaded, and you can push it back in and tighten it up. But I think what there is a base plate that's got screwed down to this thing, screwed down to the truck, and then that screw locks it into the base plate. But I can't figure out how to get it off. I've done everything with that screw. You can tighten it back up, but when you loosen it, it does not release it from the base plate. And I've tried prying on it, and it won't come off. Prying on it while I was turning the screw and everything, so it won't come off. So I'm kind of don't know where I'm going to go with that radio. I kind of looked it up online and to see if I could find a manual for it, thinking maybe there was a manual on how to release that thing, but that's probably an aftermarket thing. The radio is listed online. It's listed, well, this radio isn't listed on eBay. There's another component unit that goes to it. This thing screws into there, and then this cable went up to a little unit that was probably mounted on the dashboard that held a speaker, the microphone, and a couple of dials and knobs, probably for squelch and volume control. But I couldn't find the radio when I clicked on that, when I found it in a web browser and I clicked on it, I went to to eBay, and that unit that mounts on the dashboard with the microphone and stuff, they wanted $150 for that. Now, the radio itself, the main part of the frame of the radio, the true guts of the radio, wasn't even listed. But there is quite a bit of conversation on the web about this radio. Apparently you can use it for other things if you can change frequencies, and people use them for different varying things. What those things are, whether it's just two-way communication or somehow maybe like ham operators are using them for something. But anyways, I really don't want to destroy it, so I guess my intention is if I'm going to screw with it a little more, if I can't find out what's going on with it, I'll just get a long Sawzall blade and see if I can get it down in between the frame, and there's two bolts and that go through down into it, and see if I can cut it off, and then I'll give the thing to my grandson and let him mess with it. Maybe I'll want to sell it or something, but I'm not sure. But that's the gist of that. Okay, so I left off with the radio. Here's what happened. I thought I was going to Sawzall out those bolts through at the bottom of the mounting bracket. It's a metal mounting bracket that goes down on the floor. So I determined that I was going to use the Sawzall and just saw them off underneath the bracket, mounting bracket, and in between the floorboard. My tool guy came in and he took a look at it and he says, "Oh, it's that key in the front of the radio that's holding it in place." And of course I didn't have a key for it, but you know, I just took that with a grain of salt. Okay, where was I when I got interrupted by the phone? So anyways, I just kind of blew it off as a grain of salt, because I saw the radio online without the metal case, just a plastic, regular plastic case, and they all had a key in them. So I'm thinking, nah, that's not it. So I was going to Sawzall it. Yesterday my grandson came in and he said, "You get that radio out yet?" And I says, "No, I haven't gotten around to Sawzalling the thing off." And I says, I told him what the tool guy had said about that lock. So I was busy doing something. I see him go in his van, and then he gets out and he comes over and he goes in the cab of the truck, and about 20 seconds later he says, "Radio's out." I says, "What?" He says, "Yeah, I picked the lock on it, and it was the lock that was holding it in." So I'm going to kind of show you a clip. We kind of recreated him picking the lock, so that's what the next clip is going to be. Okay, so one of the things that I've been told is that the lock that's in the front of this radio in the F750 is what holds it into the bracket. So my grandson is kind of an amateur locksmith, and what he's going to do is try and pick that lock. So just for clarity, he actually picked this, he's picked it twice. First time I didn't have the camera out. The second time I thought I was recording it and I didn't record. So this is the third time that he's actually picked it.
And we have yet to remove the actual radio.
Yeah, we slid it back and forth, but he hasn't removed it yet.
Got it.
Alright guys, I'll bring you back. Here we are back again. What we're going to do is pull the radio out of the bracket now.
For the first time.
Nice.
Over to the bench?
Yeah, take it over, put it on the bench. Okay, so there was a part about the radio, and I put that in there, him picking the lock and us getting that radio out of there, not because it was in a time sequence, but because I was talking about it to begin with, and I wanted to kind of be able to show it to you how we got it out of there. So what I'm going to go to now is clips of me working on this back, removing some bolts, brackets, and stuff. And the reason that I am showing you this and that I am doing this is because I'm trying to figure out where everything is going to be in relationship to everything else. First of all, I need to get this bracket that was part of the old tank housing off of here, but some of the wiring is attached to it. So I want to try and disassemble as much of the wire that's been terminated right now that I can, but is still be able to have enough wiring to start that engine up before I pull it. And then coming back here and doing busy work, removing brackets and stuff like that is my way of figuring out what is what on this thing and where things are gonna fall. I've put some witness marks on the frame here showing where a sleeper would fall, being different sizes. So if I go and find a sleeper, I'll know that, okay, so this will fit, but maybe that won't fit, or it won't work out that I will have enough room in the back for the other things. Because don't forget, if I put a sleeper on here, I've still got to get that radiator cooling system in the back here with it. So you're going to see me doing some busy work. And this busy work on the back here, removing brackets and stuff, was shot actually before that lock episode happened. So if you happen to see it being out of sequence, that's the reason why. I'm back on the 750, just pulling some of these brackets and old pieces of metal off that held that tank on. I'll edit this out just so that I'm not going to show it all to you. One of the things I've got to do is I've got to get a gas can, disconnect those fuel lines to that old engine and start it. I'll videotape it when I do it. I just want to start it so that I can have a videotape of it running. So when I pull it out, if anybody wants to buy it, I can have a video for them to show them that it's running. This stuff I'm just going to scrap. I'll bring it back. I don't know whether you can see it, but this whole bundle of things here is wires, and I've got to assume probably some of the wires for lights, but probably a lot of the wires were control wires for pump, tank valve, stuff like that. So that's all got to come out of there. I've got that this one line here, and I'm not really sure what that thing is, but it must have gone to the tank heater from the radiator feed. My kind of scrap metal bucket so far. Again, those lines that are running along the outside there are what used to be the tank heater lines. And that wiring mess, I'm gonna try and figure out. I'm gonna get in there, cut the zip ties out, try to figure out where those wires go to. I'm assuming that it goes to, a lot of it goes to this terminal block, but I've got to kind of make sure of that before I start cutting anything out. I don't want anything coming up out of the engine compartment before I know what it is to be cut out. Well, the first one that I took off that terminal block broke. In one of them it appears to be going up front off of that post, so let me see what I can do with it. I'll bring it back. The good thing is that apparently the terminals are double nutted, so like this one, the wires are on the outside nut, so if I can get that nut off, I can get that harness disconnected. So kind of at this point in time, another day, what I did overnight is thought about it and figured I wouldn't go any farther pulling that wire off until after I got the engine started. So I came in the following day and started work on stripping the interior of the thing apart, kind of figuring out what wires were what underneath that floor mat and everything. So this is where it's going to pick up from there. Okay, so here I am starting the process of removing the gas tank. I have already removed the seat belts out of the cab, and I'm just removing the gas tank, or starting the removal of the gas tank now. But the point is, in the back of my mind, I'm always thinking about how things are going to fit together. Do I have enough room for the seats? Where is the shifters going to be if I install an engine with a new transmission? Or where are the shifters going to be if I install an engine with the existing transmission? It's always going on an ongoing process, and you've probably seen videos or programs where they do car builds, and you know, it goes from a truck with no fenders on it to a truck having fenders on it, but they don't tell you this thought process of how those fenders are going to fit or how to make them fit. So this is kind of what I've always got in the back of my mind when I'm doing stuff like this. It probably looks like busy stuff to you, but it's always in the back of my mind about how things are going to go together, how things are going to sequence, how things are going to fit. So one of the things that's always in the back of my mind is that rear window of the cab. Now I can buy sleepers online. I mean, there's a place online where they have tons of sleepers. I think it's out in Kansas or Iowa or someplace. But what they do is they tell you the size of the sleeper. They don't tell you like what the rough opening between the cab and the sleeper would be. They just tell you what size the sleeper is and show you pictures of it and how much it's going to cost. So my thought is, I wonder if that sleeper opening is going to cover the full extent of that window, or would I have to take that window out and put like side panels to enclose where the window opening was in relationship to the opening of the sleeper. So things like that, while I'm doing this busy work, are always in the back of my mind. How much room it's going to provide me once I get this gas tank out, or extra room it's going to provide me once I get this gas tank out, or about the sleeper in the window. So thought processes like that are always going through my mind as I'm doing this busy work, and I just kind of wanted to show it to you to let you know how that ongoing thought process is there. Hey bud, yeah, can you driver's side door, just take that screwdriver and see if you can pry that coupling off of there, post coupling.
Empty?
Yeah. Well, that made a little more room. Yeah. I'm just going to shoot a brief video of an overview of the inside of the cab with the seat and the gas tank removed out of it. That radio is gone. One of the things that I need to be looking at is I've got to kind of get that engine transmission combination and figure out where the shifter is going to be in relationship to how the engine and transmission sits in there. So how far it's going to be back, I'm positive it isn't going to be any farther forward, but it's probably going to be back further, probably around behind actually where that extinguisher bracket is mounted on the floor. So I've got some more stripping out to do. I'm going to get a vac clean this thing up. I want to get that padding out of there, get those old siren buttons off of the seat, or I'm sorry, off of the floor. You know what I was looking at is that button up there. I think that's a windshield washer. You had to pump it with your foot to get the windshield washer thing to work. So there's a siren button. Above it is a high beam button, and up there is the old pump style windshield washer. There's got to be a lot of things that I've got to go over with this cab and the dash arrangement. Logically, those gauges aren't going to fit or aren't going to work for the new engine transmission. There's going to be a lot more gauges, a lot more switches, or different types of switches. I'm not going to say there's a lot more switches because there's a lot of stuff in here that's going to be removed. So in the long run, there will be more switches in gauges, but probably not a lot more than what's in there right now. I've got a lot of things to consider. You know, it's got a heater in it, and I can leave that heater, but it does not have air conditioning in it. Do I actually need air conditioning? I've got them old style vent windows that you can open up and get a good breeze going through it in the summertime. A lot of things to consider. I'll bring you back. One of the things I'm doing is trying to remove some of this trim, and I don't want to destroy it because I don't know whether it can be reused or if I am going to be reusing it. But I would like to save it intact as much as possible in case I do reuse it, because it's contoured to the body style of this cab. So I've got one screw that won't come out, and what I'm going to do, I got the rest of them out, but what I'm going to do with that is I'm just going to take a drill and drill through it, so that way that I keep the molding intact. In just a brief shot, I got that siren button out of there, and I'm starting to peel the mat back. Now there is some, again, all of these stains in this fluid is oil. They set somebody set the air filter off of it, and it's an oil bath air filter. Set it on the front seat, and it spilled, and it ran all over the place, down into the thing, down into the floor pan of the truck. But I'm starting to pull this mat out. I'll show it to you. I'm going to continue work on that, but again, I pulled that trim piece for the floorboard that holds the mat off and holds the mat down. And again, I don't know whether I'm going to use it, but I want to try and save them as in good shape as possible in case I do reuse them, or if somebody needs them, I could probably sell it too. But anyways, I'll bring you back. Okay, take two. Again, for some reason, the camera didn't record the first time I just shot this. What I did is, there's oil all over the floor, as I have addressed in previous clips of this video. I just got some Speedy Dry, put it down, try and absorb that oil, and then I'll clean it out real good. As you can see, I got the mat out, and cut whatever residual wiring was there. That wire right there goes up to the light and the siren. So I'm going to take that wire out when I pull the siren and the light off. There's a couple of things that I was looking at to get that, you know, the mounting bracket for that fire extinguisher. They actually bolted it through the floor. Instead of screwing it into the floor, they actually bolted it through. It was screws with nuts on the bottom of it, and one of the nuts I couldn't get off, so I had to crawl underneath there. And I looked at that transmission again, and now I'm having second thoughts. I'm going to try and find out what that transmission is. I might keep it because it has the PTO takeoff on the thing, and I don't know what I'd ever use it for, but maybe something like a hydraulic pump or something. So I might reconsider keeping that transmission in there. It's a 5-speed, and you know, with a 5-speed with a 2-speed rear end, you know, I'm probably would be capable of a good 10 gears there. Let me think about it. The other thing is, I'm gotta hook that engine up, and so I'm probably not gonna put the engine start in this video, but it'll be in the next video. So I kind of wanted to show it to you. The inside of this cab is in great condition, really great condition. There's no rust at all on it. I mean, there's a couple of underneath that Speedy Dry, you'll see that black plate there. It's an access plate, and there was a little bit of surface rust on that, but besides that, the interior of this thing is in great condition. I really kind of looking forward to seeing how I can fit those air ride seats in there, and what issues I'm going to have with the sleeper if I put that sleeper on. You know, is that window going to be too wide for the sleeper opening, and if I would have an issue with that. I think I'm going to leave the door trim. Of course, when I do this interior, I'm going to put that insulation sound deadening car stuff. I don't know what the trade name for it is, but you probably know what I'm talking about. That insulation sound deadening that they put, and there goes my light, that they put inside the interior of vehicles. So, you know, I'm going to be putting that all in there. So, you know, where I'm going to go with whether it's going to be a mat, like carpets, who or what's going to do it, I have no idea. So, but I'll bring you back.